This was when I was still in high school. Perhaps because my mother came from a family of psychics, I have always seen and felt something like that. This experience was one of them. At that time, our family often ate dinner late at night, and it was a tradition to eat out. That day, my father was in the mood to go out for noodles. Our house was in the mountains in the countryside, so we always used the car when we went out, and at that time too, we went out in my father's car. I was sitting in the back seat on the driver's side of the car, looking out the window, not participating in my parents' conversation. Then, I saw an elderly woman standing alone in the middle of a field. It was after 10 p.m. and dark with no street lights. I thought it was strange, but thought that she must have forgotten her farming tools during the day. Looking back on it now, there were no cars around even if I had come here by car, and there were many suspicious things, but at that time I did not pay any attention to her. We went home after eating noodles and went to bed. At first I was sleeping peacefully as usual, but around 2 a.m., I was suddenly awakened with terrible sleep paralysis. I had been having the same experience once every month or so, so I thought it was just another occurrence. But that was the beginning of something I had never experienced before. For a while I was simply unable to move. However, I suddenly had the sensation of someone grabbing me by the feet. Since I had never experienced anything like that before, I was uncertain what it meant, but I couldn't move, so remained still. Then the sensation gradually crept upward. When it reached around my waist, I started to panic. In my head I kept asking myself if I should look under the covers or quit. But even if I didn't look, if I was going to be face to face with it anyway, I would look at it in my own time. So I gathered up my courage with my moving arms and turned the blanket over. At that moment, I regretted it. It was the old lady who had just been standing in the field. Her expression was indescribable, as if she were angry or expressionless, but that wasn't so much scary. The reason for my fear was that the old lady had a sickle for mowing in her hand. We stared at each other for a while, but I didn't know what to do after that, so I decided to cover the whole old lady with the blanket and pretend I didn't see her. At that time, I didn't know why I could move. Immediately I put the blanket on her and closed my eyes as if nothing had happened, but the fact that I had just seen her eyes and the feeling of her hand still around my waist did not make me think that nothing had happened. After a while, I felt the hand crawl back up again. I knew that if I didn't do something, we would have to face each other again, so I frantically chanted some kind of mantra that my mother had taught me before. It was the mantra used by the Shingon sect of Buddhism for exorcising bad spirits and the like. Within 10 times of chanting the mantra, the weight on my body was gone at once. Wondering whether she was still there or not, I stiffly lifted the blanket, but the old lady had vanished completely. According to what I heard afterward, I do not know if it was the same field where I saw the woman, but it might have been the owner of the surrounding fields who had a funeral that day. Since that incident, I have had frequent encounters with ghosts.